Welcome to the Jam session where we explore enterprise technology across various tech domains. I'm your host, Cher Fox, and today we're diving into a topic that really hits close to home for anyone who's ever worked in or around technology. We're calling this episode Tech Without the Attitude: Why Relationships Still Matter in IT. Look, for all the innovation, automation, AI, integrations, dashboards, and service level agreements we deal with every day, the truth is technology still works best when people do. And yet, the industry has built up this reputation for being cold, rigid, and transactional, even sometimes arrogant. You know the stereotype: the faceless vendor, the MSP that only speaks in tickets, or the consultant who parachutes in with all the answers and none of the context. But that's not the real story, not for us, and not for so many professionals who quietly put service before ego and partnership before process. Today, we're going to peel back the curtain and show the human side of tech, the side that never makes it into the statement of work, but determines whether a project thrives or fails. And through our stories today, we're going to highlight why relationships aren't just a nice to have in IT. They are the foundation of everything that actually works. So settle in. This is going to be a conversation about connection, trust, the messy middle, and the moments that remind us that behind every system and solution is a human willing to do the hard work with you. I'm joined by just an amazing panel of people that I've had the opportunity to work with, problem solved with, challenged, supported, and learned from. These are folks who show up with humility, empathy, and collaboration, not attitude. So, Peter, please introduce yourself, your company, and your role.
Hi, I'm Pete DeFinis. I am the owner of Tech Forward IT. We're an MSP here in Denver. I am the owner / CTO. By CTO, I am the CTO for my clients. So we take supporting you a little bit further than the tickets and the managed services. We integrate in with your company and get to know your workflows, processes, and make you help decisions with technology that can actually help your company grow and move you forward, instead of just trying to sell you something that a vendor wants us to sell you.
Thank you. Mr. Kamal, please share with us the rest of your name and your company and your role at that company.
Absolutely. Thank you, Cher, for the opportunity to join you again on this show.
Again, yeah, you were on my very, very first show, so thank you for returning.
We get to be on more than once? Sweet.
You can, if you're nice to her. So my name is Kamal Maheshwari. I've been in tech, especially data, for a very, very long time, 20 plus years. That is clearly now my passion. I am a co-founder at DCube. So DCube is trying to build trusted AI-ready data. What that really means, it simply is when you are making investments and wanting good outcomes from your AI, what you need to keep in mind is the fuel to the AI is always the data. And the better fuel you provide, the better outcomes you can expect. So that's where my passion and focus is for last several years. I'm here in Colorado local for probably 35 years now. So very happy to be with the great set of people here. Thank you.
Thank you. And Levi, company and role that you are currently filling, if not multiple, as I recall.
Always finding a way to keep myself busy. Levi Martin. I am currently the senior business intelligence developer at Elevations Credit Union, going on my 6th year. I like to call that my 9 to 5, 5 to 9. I like to run an LLC that I have by the name of 919 Solutions. I pretty much take the same enterprise data set and skill set and apply that to small businesses around town. I like to find small businesses that could use that same skill set but don't have the money to get there, and help leverage on that side as well.
Great. Thank you. Well, before we jump into the technical trenches, I want to start with something simple: how we all met, because none of the work that we've done together would make sense without that backstory. So, this segment is about origin points: the first project, the first crisis call, the first networking event, really the first "I know someone who can help" introduction. So, these relationships didn't all start with contracts, they started with conversations. They started with someone showing up, being real, being helpful, and proving they were someone you wanted to work with. So let's rewind to some of those early days and talk about how when our paths first crossed and how that foundation really set the tone for everything that came after. So, Kamal, do you remember when our paths first crossed, and what stood out to you about that interaction that made you think, okay, I want to collaborate with this person?
Yeah, I mean, again, having been in data for so long and in this region for as many years as I have, it's hopefully common and normal to bump into people that I've already met before. But it keeps surprising me. I still meet people I haven't met, so it just I need to up the game a little. But Cher and I met at the DEMA meeting one time in Denver. I think at the DU, I believe. But in any case, so the thing that I immediately stood out about Cher is her energy. I mean, you know, she obviously carries herself well, but very energetic, fun to talk to, definitely technical as much as you want to. Which in some social cases you don't necessarily want to go deep down technically, but I'm passionate about technology myself, so often the conversation will always go into some sort of a technology track. I really enjoyed it. I thought we would collaborate, and we have been. We've collaborated on many things since, and I still look up to her to bring that energy. Hopefully, keep looking for opportunities to work together um, at um, at various venues and events in some fashion.
Yes, thank you. You and I have really developed our relationship past the professional, even into some personal aspects. You've supported me throughout my career search. And we've spoke at conferences together. So Kamal and I created what we'll call the Walks Into a Bar series. Our first one was data strategy, data quality, and data trust walk into a bar. There's some really cheesy jokes around that, but that was really entertaining. And yeah, we've tried to find really great ways to work together. Startup weeks, uh, gosh, yeah, we've really pushed our relationship to the envelope, but that's brought us a lot closer. And I consider us friends outside of just our professional circles.
Absolutely.
So Levi, how did we meet?
Oh, years in the making. So Cher and I have a mutual contact, somebody that I like to call a Microsoft MVP, so pretty good at the tech stack. Years ahead that I met. But Cher and I have an interesting meeting. We met, I want to say about a decade ago, working for a mutual client, a construction company based out of Paris, central to the United States, building out their BI team for probably the first time. And oddly enough, the team that we had built out, there was three of us. I wouldn't say necessarily ego-driven men, but we weren't necessarily heartfelt welcoming to Cher initially. But through the mutual frustration and disappointment of going through two back-to-back hailstorms and both being car people, we decided when you cry together, it's easier to work together. And that kind of blossomed into, she was somebody that I consider a very good coworker, like just very friendly, very focused on people. But she's become a very good friend, has been in my wedding before. So somebody that is very close to me, but really shows that having a heart before the tech is what comes first.
Aw, that's so nice. This session's gonna start to sound like a Cher pump up session, whoop, but it's not. We're just trying to figure it all out, how
We're just all trying to get invited back. That's
right. Multiple appearances. Hey, when you're in my circle of trust, you've got it. So some other fun information about my relationship with Levi. Yes, within, I think, my first couple weeks of working at that client, we did experience a hailstorm. I remember walking out of the happy hour venue that we were at, and he was taking pictures of my car to post on the internet of, oh my God, look what happened to this really nice car. And I had custom ordered an Audi. It was my first really nice luxury car. It was heartbreaking. I fought the insurance company for months, like 6 months, and cried to Levi, when we had some free time at work about my struggle with that. And we did, our love of cars did come together on that. And yes, I wasn't in his wedding. I was invited to his wedding. And we did go because we are that close. I remember another time when we spent a lot of time at happy hours. I think a lot of our stories are going to revolve around drinking. Hey, walks into a bar, walks out of a bar.
those are the happy memories.
Right. Happy memories. One of the memories that always really sticks with me with Levi, and I'm almost always the only woman on an all-male team. So I think initially they're like, whoa, is this going to be too much estrogen? But I'm pretty good at being one of the guys. And, we find things to connect over, whether it's cars, whether it's fitness. I'll get to that. But Levi had shared a story at a happy hour where he had asked a woman to marry him. And she had kind of said no. And that broke my heart for him. I'm always, as that woman on that male team, I end up filling some weird role. I'm a sister, I'm a work wife, I'm a mom. I don't mom too much, but it really touched my soul because I knew what that woman was missing out on by not accepting that proposal. And then as Levi and I kind of dove deeper into our relationship, we realized that we had crossed paths many, many years earlier. And that I have a picture of us in the same picture at a workout, like a group workout. What was that company called, Levi?
It was an Herbalife workout led by an Olympic athlete. And yeah, we were in a group of probably 50 to 100 people and just mutual contact that we had never crossed paths across.
Yeah, we'd never introduced each other. I'm down in the front and he's standing up in the back of this picture. And we're like, oh my God, we crossed paths a while ago. So, and yes, we've become very good friends. I've hosted him at my home. We actually just spent some time together. He introduced me to his new love and she's delightful. And we've tried to find additional ways to work together, either through elevations or through other projects. So, all right, Peter, you're up next. Do you remember how we met?
I do. We were a virtual connection. I forgot who reached out to who on LinkedIn first. I completely forgot, but
No, it's me.
Oh, you did. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that is right. You reached out to me on LinkedIn and I was like, this was a point. I feel it must have been like 4 or 5 years ago. It was right during the middle of the pandemic and everyone and their mother was trying to make a connection with me. And, they were just starting to use AI sales nav. And I almost declined to use. It was like one of those days where I'm like, I don't know you. I don't know you. I don't know you. I don't know you. Who the heck are you? No, I don't need software developers. I'm an MSP. No, I don't need web developers or DevOps. Like, no. And then I saw Datanista and I'm like, hold on. Okay, local. This must be cool. It's not it's not someone trying to contact me from another country across the world. So at 4 o'clock in the morning. So I took a look through it and said, okay, she's local data. I certainly have a use for data people in the MSP circle. And then I saw you were into fitness. And that's when I was like, I got to show you this guy, my little weightlifter frog. Nice. So she's a bodybuilder. I'm a competitive weightlifter, and I was a bodybuilder before. So I was like, okay, we got something to bond over other than nerd talk. So we connected. We had a quick virtual meeting. You were in Grand Lake, and then I don't really think we got to really meet in person for a few years, but we got to stay in touch. So when you invited me to do the first of the Walk Into the Bar series, I was like, what? Okay, I'll tell you, let's do it. I'm down. I love making a ham of myself in front of people. Yeah, one of the things that got me immediately was that how open and honest you were, and how much you wanted to learn about other people's business, to not sell yourself, but to sell a networking relationship. Like, hey, how can we help each other? Let's brainstorm on how we can help each other. And that's really what I appreciated. He's probably one of the first people on LinkedIn out of thousands that had said, hey, can I learn more about your business so we can help each other, instead of, here's why you need my services. And I thought that was really genuine.
It is genuine. Yeah. And since then, I mean, we've shared our fitness highs and lows. We spoke at a conference in Denver called the Rocky Mountain Information Security Conference. We pivoted the Walks Into a Bar series to go into data security, data privacy, and data trust. Walk into a bar. That was so well received at that conference. Another guest that has been on my show, Laura Harder, she and Peter and Kamal did that one. I was just kind of their moderator for the session. Somebody actually commented that I added no value.
No.
I wasn't supposed to. I was just supposed to keep the session on track. So I let that slide off like Teflon. But yeah, that was
the value. You have to keep me and Kamal from yapping. The two of us will just keep flowing. Like,
no, it's just to keep the conversation flowing. So yes, time boxes, things of that nature. You showed up with a gaggle of notes and was just ready to go. But yeah, that was the first time we'd ever physically crossed paths. And then I swear that Kamal and Levi were at the same DAMA networking event at some point in time. And usually I'm pretty good about introducing people that I have relationships from in the past with people that I have new relationships with. But I think I might have missed that at that event. It was my first event, as I was doing marketing for my local DAMA chapter for 2 years. And I think I'm not even sure Kamal and I shook hands at that event. And then Levi, we went to the brewery in Highlands Ranch after that, didn't we?
Yeah, we all had happy hour after, but you were
nice happy hour. We're always drinking together. There's a common theme here. Welcome to online AA. Kamal, did you go to that? It was like a January one. I think Bill Inman spoke at that, didn't he?
That was the one. Either that one or the
Remember that, Kamal? It was like at Thrive in the tech center, and then we drove just a little bit south. Maybe you weren't at that one.
Oh yeah, I remember the DU one where one of the professors and
yeah, we had a panel. We had a panel at DU. Yeah.
Carol from
Yep.
From she's somewhere else now, but I think she was at Ball at that time.
Oh right, that we had a panel for the second part of it, and then I think we had 2 individual speakers. Yeah, Carol was one of those. So, and then Paul and Peter got to meet when I invited them both to, contribute to Armis, which they reached out to me and said, hey, can you lead a conversation on this? And it was really easy for me to kind of pick through my network and say, okay, well, Kamal and I started the Walks Into a Bar, so he's automatically in. I can't do a Walk Bar without him. So especially with our mutual passion of data trust. And I knew that Peter with his MSP would, really be able to bring in some additional thoughts that people needed to pay attention to with security and privacy. So yeah, that was a wonderful event. And we tried to put that together for this session, but Laura couldn't make it. She still serves in the military, and she had to do her military this weekend. So thank you, Levi, for coming in, and Peter for the excellent suggestion of let's start talking about relationships. So Well, now that we've set the stage here, let's move into what really happens when we start working together day to day. So, we're going to start talking about the real stuff, as Levi mentioned, the fire drills, the thorny client engagements, maybe late night calls, and some of the we'll figure this out together moments. And this isn't necessarily going to be about everything that we've done together, but hopefully, we've got some good stories. So this is where our relationships are really going to start proving their value, not in the easy ways, but in those complicated ones. So let's share some stories about how trust has changed outcomes, how being able to speak honestly has saved some time and money, and how partnership, not just process, is what carries us through the toughest parts of IT delivery. So, Levi, can you share a time maybe when our relationship or another relationship that really stands out to you, the trust, the open communication, and the ability to be real directly changed the outcome of a project or maybe a challenge we or you and some others were facing?
I've actually got a recent one from the organization I'm currently with. Um, Credit unions are typically are known to be somewhat behind just the natural technical sphere of the industry. Um, a lot of what the role provides is a lot of new automation or new ways to do something that we've typically been accustomed to over a long period of time. Like a lot of organizations, a lot of people are used to Excel spreadsheets, doing stuff manually, not having a technical person to ease their world. Um, so interacted with another team that was probably spending, I'd say, 6 to 8 hours of their day manually entering cash in and cash out on ATMs. This is at every place that we serviced in Colorado, and they're going to spend their entire December changing over all their ATMs. So that now you're tracking double. And this is somebody that has a family, has kids, obviously wants to do dinners, want to do Christmas, and that becomes a lot heavier on top of wanting to do something that they really want to do for 6 to 8 hours a day. So interacted with them a couple of weeks ago to automate their process, nothing clean, ingest what they're doing straight from the source, and really just send it on to balance the general ledgers that we have at our company. So what to me was, something that was really easy, really basic, just taking data and submitting it to a system, which is what we do every day in technology, was really important. Was in her eyes, that wasn't just automating a solution. It was her being able to, maybe spend a little bit longer dropping her kids off at school, picking them up a little earlier, and realizing that her entire holiday month isn't going to be spent working. That's something that I've kind of always, even in our timeshare, always focusing on people, making sure they're not spending 20 hours waiting for a report to run. But really, you can deploy any solution and it's all data at the end of the day. But what are we doing for people? How are we making them feel beyond the 9 to 5?
Mesh is a material built to be strong and flexible. Mesh is an interaction creating alignment and power. Mesh is a behavior that brings people together. And now Mesh is a new model of trust networks from Insight Jam, driven by enterprise experts for professional decision makers who recognize the moment we are in, where the world of work collides with AI. The greatest mesh of all.
I completely agree. And I know, when we were working together, any after hours work or on call time, which as a consultant, I wasn't typically included in because my bill rate's a lot higher than your salary, unfortunately. But clients almost always keep me out on call now. They don't want to pay that. There's a risky bill there. But we were all very cognizant of our team and what was going on in our personal lives, whether that was weddings, whether that was, hey, this is a bad week for me. Hey, I've got family in town. Hey, I've already planned this thing. Can you cover for me? We've always been really good about doing that. I've been blessed to really work on client projects where the managers are really, really in tune with the personal lives of their people. And we all work together. So I'm happy to contribute anyway. If you want me on call, great. You know, what's the bill with that? But you know, we get so ingrained in each other's lives, whether it's weddings, promotions, people being laid off or fired, um, children's events. You know, I've been invited to graduations of children because I've been with a client so long that you grow up with their kids. You know, you get to watch that and see that happen. And even at the place Levi and I were at, our manager decided to get engaged, and he was picking out an engagement ring. It's all dudes on the team. Where is he going to get a woman's point of view? So he pulls me into the office and he's like, "Hey, I need a woman's perspective on this, you know, even though you're one of the guys." So, and then I had gotten to know him and his fiance at the time so well that they had asked me to actually be in the wedding. I was going to be one of the bridesmaids. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. And that was a huge bummer, but, yeah, really weird opportunities like that. So, Peter, I'm sure you have all sorts of war stories with clients. What are some of your favorites?
I have a couple of favorites, but I got to apologize for the camera dropping. Full disclosure, my sister is visiting and she brought her cat, and the cat got up on my desk, and I'm like, "Don't go near the laptop. Don't go near the laptop." He went near the laptop and just knocked my camera off.
I think in my last session, the guy was so animated talking, he blew his copy off. Sir, feel like he kind of disappeared from the session, and then he came back. He's like, "I just spilled my coffee."
Well, it's recognizing 2025. Hey, you know, things are a little bit more casual now. So, anywho, I actually have a couple. One of my favorite ones, and I wouldn't have been able to do this if my client didn't trust me. And at MSPs, we get a lot of recurring tickets. And we noticed a pattern with one client. They're not super technical, and this was just about the time that, if you guys remember, Adobe Acrobat DC made a whole bunch of changes, made it a little bit more online. There were some procedural changes, and we're talking about a 7-user company. We're 20, 30 tickets a day for Adobe. And their point of contact was getting frustrated about, "Hey, these are tech issues. We're really having a lot of tech problems." And I had to have the hard conversation about, "Hey, maybe this isn't so much technology. Maybe this is more training, right? Your people don't know how to use the new product. There was no announcement made about the new product. How about we get you some training on the new Adobe?" So we went to Adobe. We set up a couple classes for them. 2 weeks later, after the training was done, ticket count like dropped. And even though they had to spend money to get trained by Adobe, they really appreciated us moving in that direction and having that hard conversation instead of saying, "Yes, we'll keep fixing your problems all at once." The client's getting frustrated because they're like, "Why do I have to stop all the time? Why do I have to put in a ticket all the time?" And when they just want stuff to work. So that hard conversation just found a way for us to make things work after we got in and said, "What are the problems you're having?"
Yeah, that's so insightful to be able to go into a client situation and find out it's not a technology problem. It is, and it's not a people problem. It's just, it's a gap. They didn't have that training that they needed. So, very insightful. What else do you have? I'm sure you have another good zinger.
Yeah, there's a few of them. And this goes back to, like, this is really kind of taking the attitude out of IT. There's sometimes a lot of mundane tasks that users have issues with that, you know, you're all familiar with this, that, "Hey, I forgot how to do this. I forgot how to do that." And then they get all embarrassed when they call or they put in a ticket because they don't remember. And if they call some other help desk, someone's probably going to be like, "Oh, it's the flying toaster background. Just reboot it." And that's really what we kind of want to try to avoid. So some of those common tasks, one client in particular has an accounting software that's really not the most intuitive. And we're not experts on it, but we've been around it enough where we can kind of help. One of the things we did was for these common tasks that this user had issues with, we created videos and we put them on her desktop. And we said, this is for XYZ procedure. This is for printing from this application. This is for doing these reports. And they really, really valued that, because the point behind it wasn't saying don't bother us. The point behind it was, let's empower you to find the solution yourself and have a resource, give you a resource instead of making you feel embarrassed to reach out to us every week.
Yeah, knowledge management, when we can see that need and add that into their workflows and their processes, the enablement around that is massive. Plus, it makes their onboarding in the future so much greater. And I totally, when you said, people reach out to you because they've forgotten how to do something, even in tech, we have so many things we don't do every day, but we're responsible for doing monthly or quarterly or annually. And we're like, that was 12 months ago. I don't remember how I got from point A to point B. So helping people not feel stupid is a huge value. And I think as vendors and coworkers, that helps us establish those relationships faster. So appreciate all of that. Mr. Kamal, we have traveled together. We have seen Disneyland from the roof together, from a roof of a hotel together.
Okay, that's really cool.
That was
Yeah,
nice.
the walks in a bar conference talk series, it will travel if the travel spot is right. And I was able to invite Kamal into some conference ecosystems that he didn't have a connection with. It's not that he couldn't have applied and gotten in there, but I already had a relationship in there. So it was really for me to it was really easy for me to add a +1. But I'm sure you have other great stories of relationships, especially as the founder and a CXO of a data trust product.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, I wanted to take you behind the scenes of being a co-founder. So, I'm a social being. Anybody who gets to know me will immediately realize I love hanging out with people, talk, whatever. I mean, maybe my domain is more tech and less other, but I'm not shy of reaching out to people, working the room, all of that. And that's why Cher and I really connected, because her energy, I'm just all over the place. So, but as a co-founder or as a social being, I've always been more the customer facing side. Even when I was a developer, I started my journey as a developer architect, I will always find a way to see how the customers are using what I'm developing or what my team is developing, right? Because that's when what you're trying to do or solve a problem or creating more pain or what. So with that, my customers are always my partners. I always treat them as partners. Like, look, you will teach me things and we will bring you things that help you in your daily lives. So as a co-founder, now I have to work with my team that is going to build and develop some of the features, and the customers that are asking for just that and other. And with the internal team, I'm always taking customer side, and they're like, "What? We are part of the same team. Why are you always pushing on us?" And I say, "Look, don't get it wrong, but I will always be on the customer side. But we have to work together and kind of push each other to keep that customer focus, right? Again, we'll come back to people. Part of tech, right? I mean, no matter how complex the solution we're building, it is for people. Still is, right? We're not still at a stage where we're developing these things for robots. Maybe one day, but so that's an interesting dynamic that I have to almost on a daily, weekly basis balance. By now, I think my team is starting to get the idea that, oh, hey, if we're going to talk to Kamal, he will always be pushing for the customer and so on. It's a good relationship. Although sometimes, and I'll tell you, just recently, our product team, which happens to be in Malaysia, had a product roadmap session. They excluded me because they knew I'm going to bring up things that they may not be ready. And it's I'm kind of learning that side of things as well, but still, it's not all what people might think being a co-founder is like, but it is. I still enjoy it because I get to work with people, internal to my team and also, of course, external, right? So there are plenty of data stories, but I think this was more appropriate for bringing that human touch. Oh, and by the way, so the topic of our conversation was what was it? How to drop the attitude or something. I'm like, hey, let's have an attitude. We do some work. We do it with attitude.
A positive attitude.
Yeah. So I've always perhaps had a bit of a attitude and a chip on my shoulder, but as I'm getting older, I'm probably getting a little more milder. You can imagine.
I don't know, dude. You still got some energy. I got some energy and moxie for for a dude that's getting up there. I don't know. So I don't think that passion's ever gonna drop in you.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's probably not.
Yeah,
And I
passion is
mean,
always-
yeah, we're not just building trust in data, we're building trust in people. So
Exactly.
when we as coworkers, consultants, MSPs, when we gain the trust of our team or our client that we've integrated into, I've never behaved like a consultant. I've never been arrogant, like, well, I'm a consultant, you need to treat me differently. No, I'm down in the trenches with everybody. We're all fighting, and punching upward together. But when we build that trust, our clients, they stay with us for a long time, and we develop friendships that transcend when the client engagement is over, and they may even give us opportunities to help them in ways they didn't originally think of, which for me has helped me grow my career because I'm already on the team. And I have a little bit of bandwidth. You've got a challenge. I might not have experience with it, but well, let's just give it to Cher and see what happens, because it's going to take us 3 or 4 weeks to find someone that can come in and do it. Maybe she can just figure it out for us. So I've learned so much on the job. I mean, Levi taught me how to write a tabular cube. So I hadn't written a tabular model ever. I learned from him, and I can't go to him and be like, well, I'm a consultant, but I need you to teach me this. I can't be arrogant about that. I have to go to him humbly and say, hey, they asked me to do this, and do you have an example I can look at? And can you coach me through it as I try to figure it out? So that's hugely important, and trusting people in your network to say, no, I know Cher. I'd like to introduce her to someone else because I think that they would work together well, not just our relationship. I mean, I've reached out to Peter a couple different times and said, hey, I'm filling out this RFP and I need to know this, this, and this. Can you help me? And if I get it, I'll get you that work. And that's my partner. That's someone that I want to work with officially, not just speak at conferences about drinking in a bar, which is what we do.
They say drinking in a
Well-
bar should be a perk of the whole program. So
It is always a perk in the whole program. Happy hours make for happy teams. So it just says, it gives us that opportunity. It just gives us the opportunity to get to know each other on a personal aspect. And when we deep dive into our personal lives, it's easier to fight on projects together to get them done. It's easier to support each other. If I'm behind on something, I can just go ask Levi, hey, can you help me with this? Or, hey, I'm looking at this code, and I would go ask another coworker of ours, Jason, Coop, I'm stuck on this. How, why is this still broken? It takes him 2 seconds to look at it and go, oh, this isn't written correctly right here. Cause I've been, ingrained in it for 4 hours trying to figure it out, wasting time and money. Oh, nope, it's right there. Okay, cool. Thanks. Oh yeah, you're right. I missed it. It's still compiled, but it doesn't run right. So yeah, it's important. So for kind of our final segment, let's zoom out to talk about what all of this really means for the industry. IT is evolving faster than ever, but our idea of service hasn't always kept up. Too often, organizations do replace humanity with process or assume expertise doesn't need empathy. So let's explore what it looks like to bring humility, accountability, and genuine care back into the center of service delivery. Let's talk about how IT pros can show up differently and how clients can build healthier partnerships, and how the future of tech really depends upon strengthening the human stack just as much as the technical one. So, Peter, from your perspective, what's a thing or two that the tech industry consistently gets wrong about service? And how does a human relationship centered approach make all the difference?
Oh, there's a lot of things I've seen the tech business get wrong, specifically with MSPs. I don't know if you guys remember, it was an old British show called The It Crowd, and it was like this team of IT guys. It was a bunch of British comedians, and they were all snotty, and they were like, just reboot it. And then, everyone's typical IT guy is the dude that looks like the comic book guy from The Simpsons, and he's in a dark room by himself watching anime. And that's really what, and that's great if you're a back-end engineer, but some MSPs are hiring these people, are hiring people with that kind of attitude. Like, I'm here to not really work and don't bother me. And what MSPs are getting wrong is that they're not in the tech business. They're in the service business. They're missing that piece. And they're hiring people for technical skill as opposed to cultural fit, or their culture isn't people first. So one of the things we did to make sure my people get it right, was ban the term user. Our clients are not users. They're not users. They're people, because they have struggles every day. They have emergencies, and what may not seem like a big deal to us. Oh, Ethel can't print again. Well, maybe the CEO is down her neck because last minute he forgot to do something. He needs her to do it. She needs this thing done in 10 minutes. And we need to empathize with that and say, hey, maybe this is kind of really a big deal to her, even though being able to print something's not a big deal to us. I think so many companies miss that. And another thing I think they miss is that, these technicians are on the front line. They're the ones communicating with people, with users and people. If they're burnt out and they're frustrated and they're overloaded and they don't feel appreciated, that affects your business, and that affects you, and that affects how your clients feel. So it really is kind of like a circle back. And I think a lot of companies are missing that whole big picture. They're just like, okay, if we close tickets and we follow these metrics and we'll do well, and that's what this says. And well, you're following numbers, which is cool, but people aren't numbers. People are people, and people have feelings. People have emotions. People need to feel heard and trusted. And, all of those kind of lead into that big, like, swing and a miss of, yeah, we solved the problem, but how many people did you piss off doing it?
Oh, yeah, that's really probably the best point. And I think as consultants or outsiders, as Levi even mentioned previously, they're a little wary of us when we come in. What is this person here for? Is she here to help me, or is she here to stab me in the back? So, and I have had clients hire me as an outsider to come in and give them the inside scoop of what's really going on. Sometimes it's forensic accounting. They're trying to find somebody who's stealing money from the company. And it's hard. It's hard to get people to trust us because they don't know what our intentions are. And even when I'm doing something a little, we'll call it covert, I still want to be nice, and I still want to develop relationships with people, because I don't want that executive to fire them. I mean, when I first started at Levi's, at a time that Levi and I worked together, which ended up being a 5-year and 9-month consecutive contract for me, because they could just keep handing me more work. And, oh, the business analyst quit or we fired him. Hey, Cheryl, pick that up. She'll still meet her deadlines. I wore 10 hats simultaneously. It was chaos, but we want to make sure that we're taking care of everybody and we're not stabbing other people in the back. And I remember there was a business analyst there who was a she was a female and she was contracted. And they said she went to a director and said, well, Cher's not helping me. And another female in the office overheard that and then pulled that woman aside later and said, we don't throw other women under the bus here because there's not enough of us and we have to band together. Yeah. And I was so appreciative that I learned about that very much later, years down the road. I learned about that interaction. And, they said, that's not the Cher we know. She doesn't not help people. And even when I first started my very first project, a project manager came over to me and gave me a person and said, well, this person's going to be your business analyst. They're just getting started in this process. They've been here for a really long time and they know the business and they know the company. Levi, you probably know who it is. I'm just not going to name names. It's a positive story. So, I said, well, what if being a BA doesn't work out for them? I said, I'm happy to work with them. I'm happy to train. They know the company. I'm trying to learn the company. I'm trying to learn the data. They know it all. Happy to do it. And I said, well, what happens if it doesn't work out? Do you fire this person? Oh, no. He's too valuable to the company. We'll just pivot him into another role. He stayed in that role for quite a long time until there was a manager change that wasn't really a happy place for him. And then he moved on to another role that was a better fit for him. So, again, trust with those people, trust with their happiness. I mean, Peter, you said it, and I'm sure you get it every now and again, coming from the fitness world. I interviewed with a gentleman and it was probably the most inappropriate thing he could ever say, but it always stuck with me. He said to me, you don't look like other IT people, other IT guys. He specifically said guys. And I'll remember that because I'm like, well, yeah, I'm wearing a dress. Which, hey, life has changed. The world is different. Everyone,
IT guys can wear dresses. I've seen it.
IT guys can wear dresses. They can wear makeup. They can paint their fingernails. Yeah, it's a different world. But, he's like, you don't look like other IT people. And I remember when I had started there, I was pretty lean. And so my arms were a little bulgy out of my dress. And I did get hired there. And some other people were like, oh, my God, your guns are bigger than mine. I think I had just come out of preparing to compete cycles. So yeah, fun times, but I think it leads back to trust.
Yeah, actually, Cher, I wanted to share, even in sales, which to a lot of people comes across as transactional, right? We reach out to people because when we want to sell something, we need them, whatever. But even there's a saying, people buy from people, right? So you may have the best thing in the world to sell, but if you cannot connect and create that value proposition more people to people, you just cannot be successful. And I've seen this for so many years, having been on the customer side. So I think we just cannot take the people side of it out. In fact, I kind of wanted to bring it out there. People who may be worried about AI replacing and kind of coming for their jobs, it really isn't that way. It just cannot work that way. AI is at the best a assistive, augmenting, helpful thing, which is helping the people, not the robots or machines, right? So I really think people should, clearly stay open, learn, and use things for your own betterment. But I think this is a people business. Every business is a people business. We create technology to make our lives or people's lives better. So if we take the people out of it, well, what are we doing? So
Yeah, and Cher and I kind of talked to something similar a couple weeks ago. the way technology is going in the younger generations, even the non-IT folks are heavily technical now. So we're almost hitting a generational difference, and we're talking about it now. Is the tech people of 20, 30 years ago that were drinking Mountain Dew and eating Cheetos aren't the same people today. They're the people that are in call centers accessing AI, and so you're almost we're almost seeing the millennials caught in the middle and being able to learn from two sides. What was an attitude heavy back-end developer is now somebody that, since they've been, age of 10, on their phone, dragging and dropping, or asking AI how to build a form. And they're two different animals. And I think we're kind of caught in the middle of just how you help people and get out of that, and just being able to relate to both sides. There's the evolution that we're getting. And yeah, there could be some fight on AI and all these concepts, but it's helping us get to a better answer at the end of the day. So I'm starting to see the worlds merge and not be as frightened of each other.
Unlock better leads with custom webinars by Solutions Review.
And welcome to the Solution Spotlight featuring Broadcom, Alteryx, IBM, Impetus, Infor, Sigma, Radware, Infinidat, Revenera.
Boost your brand with our exclusive virtual events featuring in-depth use cases, live product demos, and interactive Q&A sessions. All broadcast live to LinkedIn, YouTube, and Zoom. Straight from our state-of-the-art production studio or on location at industry tech conferences. Get the full package: custom promotional graphics, polished video production, and our massive social media reach. Fill your sales funnel with high-quality targeted leads, and contact us today by visiting solutionsreview.com/virtual events.
Yeah, I was starting to see a pattern. I remember when I first started MSPs 15 years ago, it was all about the big selling point was how good they were technically and how many problems we could fix. And that was with an older generation and behind the computers. Now that we have Gen X, millennials, Gen Z behind the machines, we don't have the mundane daily tasks that we have to worry about a lot of times. A lot of the value has to that relationship between the MSP and the business has to be the trust they have in your business, and the trust the leaders have in me, for example, or in the leader of that MSP, and how that relationship's handled. That's the biggest key. That's where the value is now, and that's where the industry is moving.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I think I can speak to why when Levi and I worked together, they were a little wary of me. I was brought in to interview, and I met with our team lead, who was also a contractor. And then they sent me into an office to meet with our the team's manager. And it was supposed to be a 15-minute, 20-minute conversation. I think I was in there for an hour and a half, and we connected so deeply. And then we walk out, he walks me back out to the front. And I think somebody said, "Hey, do I get to talk to her?" And the manager goes, "Nope, we're good."
Best assigned hire ever.
Right. Yeah. Right. He's like, "Nope, we're good. I'm good." And that was, we're talking about how to get going. So, and I think Levi makes a really good comment about the next generations. And I know I've spoken about it before in other conversations, that our kids are coming up and they've got tablets and little tablets that play educational games, like teach them how to read and drag and drop letters and all these fun things. And we're losing some of the curiosity out of the next generations to want to explore tech and to want to get into IT, because it's part of their everyday life. So the curiosity isn't there. And even for some of them, they're like, "I don't want to do this," or they're so focused on the interaction with the tech, they're not developing the social skills that they need to be a contributing human on a team. So that's really challenging. Any other thoughts on how we need to redefine service in the future, especially around AI? As Kamal, stated, I've led several conversations on this platform about human in the loop.
I had a question for you before we go into that, Cher. When it goes back to when you were doing your covert stuff and you're trying to find stuff. Did you ever find yourself at a keyboard humming the Mission Impossible theme? Was that?
No, that would have been so good though. Or I could have played it. I could have played it really loudly in my headphones and then put my headphones down so that people around me could have heard that. That would have been classic because we were always pranking each other. I mean, Levi will attest it. Do you remember the picture with the banana of the man in the banana on a pillow that we put as your screensaver? Was that Nicolas Cage?
I might have drank that memory away.
He left his computer unlocked, and we were it was a teaching moment not to leave your computer unlocked. I'm pretty sure it was Nicolas Cage laying on a pillow coming out of a banana. It was completely inappropriate, but we sat there and snickered and waited for him to come back to his desk. He was horrified. I think I still have the picture in the cloud somewhere. I'll send it to you so you can have the SD. Okay. Yeah. Human in the loop, AI, quantum, all the things that are coming next. How to maybe one final thought from each of you. How do people stay in the game? Pete, go.
I read a few articles about like an AI bubble bursting because so many companies have put so much stake in it. And they're trying to make it solve so many problems. And really, my understanding, I'm not the biggest expert in AI, but my experience with it is that it's really just a well-trained intern. Like it spits out what you feed it, and it spits it out. You know, if you've ever seen emails from me, I'm an architect, man. I type like a caveman. So AI helps me soften that out, which is kind of cool. But relying on AI to do human jobs, I think, is going to be is where a lot of companies try to save money. And really, any HR person will tell you that a company is built on its processes, yes, but more importantly, its people and its culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really hoping that, there is kind of an AI bubble pop, so we can see people come back and relationships come back into big business. Right now, if I deal with Comcast, that's so transactional, but someone calls a small company and they're actually getting a real human. I'd like to see that come back to large businesses and have more of a human aspect come in as opposed to trying to save a buck. How about keeping your people happy or keeping your clients happy?
Yeah, when I'm frustrated and I call in needing help, I don't want to deal with the robot. So if I get AI, I hang up. And there's a lot of auto dialing AI. And once they've asked you the third question, you're like, I'm stuck with AI here. So no, I completely agree. I'll hang up, call back and press 0. If I'm frustrated, throwing a robot or a digital experience at me is not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that empathy and some genuine help. Kamal, how do humans stay in the loop in the age of new technologies coming?
I think humans will always stay in the loop, or should stay in the loop. We create things for humans to make life better. I think for the humans, us and everybody, we need to kind of adopt, be open, learn. Things change. Change is the only constant. So today it's AI. Yesterday it was machine learning. Before that was the data warehouse, something, right? Whatever. It's all constantly evolving. Especially the tech landscape evolves so quickly. But you just mentioned about the calling and hanging up. If it was the robot, whatever. There are nuances to talking to humans as well. I mean, I would rather just, so there is that, but still, I think just stay involved and learn. If you feel, it's sort of like if you fear something, you have to get to it, and how else do you get rid of your fear? If you keep fearing and do nothing about it, well, then somehow it'll come for you. Right? I mean,
like the It clown with the balloons. I didn't do enough Halloween jokes in my October session. Totally my bad. It's my favorite holiday. Levi, what can you share maybe that Elevations is doing without, divulging anything proprietary? What are they doing to, continue human involvement and, using AI maybe responsibly?
Yeah, I think the other two gentlemen have already said pretty much what I'm going to say. It's become a management heavy keyword. I came in the last year from being fearful of it to it is a very good teammate. I would say just like our script developers of the past, drop the ego. We all don't know anything, and AI doesn't know everything. You're there to help it. You're there to guide it. You're there to learn from it. And it's a two-man team. Like you said, it's a good intern. It's a good coworker. But you have to guide it. Yeah, and some of the best developers, the best coders I've had, the best AI people are people that sit in the contact center that come from, the first year out of college. So it's not your heavy developers that are going to know. The people that aren't in tech, the people that are your everyday team members in other teams are going to the people that have the answers that you wouldn't have thought of. So I think it's dropping the attitude all the way through the system.
Yeah. And as an entrepreneur and a founder of multiple things, I've learned I was really resistant to engaging AI in my processes. And I've learned that, yes, I'm not alone. I at least have somebody to run ideas by if it's not a human. So, which helps me get out of my head and helps me, as Peter said, I can be very direct in emails, and I sometimes need to run that through help to soften the blow. So I completely get that. Well, what a wonderful conversation. Thank you, all of you. Kamal, how can viewers best get in touch with you? Any upcoming conferences or speaking engagements? Any new publications? Demo videos from D-Cube? What should people be paying attention to from you?
Well, I'm so if you follow me on LinkedIn, I'm pretty prolific in talking about what I'm passionate about, which is data trust, people, human in the loop type stuff. Our website, it's a pretty good way to stay in touch and up to date. A lot of blogs being written. I think we will start to do a few more webinar and other outreach type of events. So look out for that. And well, just connect and stay in touch. So one thing I would say to people who might want to connect with me on LinkedIn, I will possibly accept the connection, but don't slam me with another selling immediately. I mean, just wait, learn. Who am I? What am I doing? What I need? And boom,
It's almost automated. It's almost automated anymore. Yeah.
I guess so.
As soon as you hit accept,
Yep.
especially with if you have an open to work on your banner, on your thing, as soon as you accept a bot stuff, bam, it hits you. So yeah, it's challenging. Levi, what's in that can? It's a little early, my friend. You've got a can cover.
Pure water.
It must be happy hour.
Both hands.
Yeah.
That's a good way to get a hold of you. What's going on in your world?
I'm pretty simple. Find me on LinkedIn, connect. I'm showing up to more events. I'm trying to link up with more people. I'm trying to get out of the constant implementation and scripting world. So any way you can network, I'm getting out there more and more. So ramping up.
Sometimes you just have to show up. I agree. And Peter, best way to get a hold of you? What's going on in your world?
Mostly same thing as these two guys, LinkedIn. Just be judicious, same as Kamal when you contact me, because I almost miss Cher because of all the automated route reaches. So if there's a message assigned to it and you're trying to tell me you're some development team members, I apologize. I'm not gonna connect with you. There's also info@techforwardit.com, and I don't have an external speaking engagement, but little two to the horn, I was recognized by my MSP peer group as a thought leader on running businesses and bringing people first in MSPs. So this was like a really great conversation to me, because I'm really, really, really passionate about putting people first, putting people over numbers. But you'll probably see me if you're at any Firestorm events or any associated general contractors events, because we do support mostly construction and energy. You'll see me at some of those, and probably out at random bars, or if you're dropping into any CrossFit gyms, you'll probably see me.
any CrossFit gym. There's quite a few. And
CrossFit Park Hill in particular. That's where I'm at, down on Quebec and Colfax. It's owned by Michelle.
whoa, no free advertising. Now Ryan has to go ask for, money for the plug. Way to go.
I'll get you in touch with the owner of Park Hill, and she will pay you for the plug. Maybe she'll give you a couple free training sessions. Who knows?
Ooh, we all like free CrossFit sessions. Well, thank you to our guests for bringing honesty, humor, and heart to this session and really making one thing crystal clear. Relationships aren't an accessory to good IT. They are the infrastructure. Tools evolve, platforms get replaced, and technologies become obsolete. But people and partnerships carry the work forward. So whether you're an MSP, a vendor, a consultant, or someone deep inside an internal IT team, remember this: your greatest competitive advantage isn't your certification list or your tech stack. It's your humanity. Thank you to our listeners for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a colleague who's looking for a conversation that goes deeper than the surface of tech. And be sure to subscribe and share on your favorite social media channels. I'll be back next month as I wrap up the year with the first ladies of cyber. So until then, stay curious, stay collaborative, and keep building tech without the attitude.